The tractor was still smoldering when Beverly Stansfield realized she had committed the dumbest crime of her life. Red and blue lights bathed the cul-de-sac. A fire engine idled at the end of the street, hoses snaked across the decorative stamped concrete the HOA was so proud of. My old green tractor sat in the side yard, blackened and twisted, still popping and hissing as water dripped off the charred frame. Beverly, HOA president of Cedar Crest Estates, stood on the sidewalk in her live Laugh HOA t-shirt, arms crossed, trying to look outraged and not terrified. "This is exactly why we needed to enforce standards," she announced loudly for the neighbors filming. "That tractor was a hazard. We have been warning him for months." I did not reply. I just watched the last puff of smoke drift upward, jaw tight, hat pulled low. The county fire marshal walked over, wiping his hands. "Definitely arson," he said. "Accelerant on the seat and wheel wells. We will loop in the sheriff's office." He turned to me. "Sheriff, you want this one, or you want me to send it straight to state?" Beverly blinked. Her head snapped toward me. "Sheriff." I finally looked at her, eyes flat. I reached into my jacket and pulled out my worn leather wallet. Flipped it open. Gold star. Photo. Sheriff Caleb Rourke, Ridge County. The crowd went dead silent. Beverly's mouth opened and closed twice before any sound came out. "You are the sheriff?" I nodded once. "And you," I said quietly, "are standing about 10 feet from my burned-out tractor, on camera, after sending me 3 emails saying you would take care of the problem yourself." Someone in the crowd whispered, "Oh, she is so screwed." I did not move to Cedar Crest Estates because I liked HOAs. I moved there because the property came with 5 acres, an old barn, and a beat-up tractor that still ran if you coaxed it right. After 20 years in law enforcement, I wanted space, sky, and something to fix that did not have a criminal record. The land had belonged to an old family farm before the developer chopped it up into Phase 1 luxury homes and Phase 2 slightly less luxury homes. My parcel was carved out as a weird remnant on the edge, technically within the subdivision boundary, but with a grandfather deed that very clearly said not subject to HOA or common interest community restrictions. I read that clause 5 times before signing. I was the sheriff. Reading contracts was like breathing. Enter Beverly Stansfield. Late 40s, ironed bob haircut, sunglasses that never fully came off her head, and the sort of permanent frown lines that only develop from years of disapproving. She was HOA president, social committee chair, and self-appointed guardian of neighborhood vibes. To Beverly, my place was a personal insult. On one side, perfectly coordinated beige homes with regulation shrubbery and identical black mailboxes. On the other side, my gray farmhouse, a working barn, and a slightly rusty green tractor parked tastefully in the gravel near the side yard. It was not a junkyard. It was just not brochure-ready. And Beverly had never met a clause she could not ignore if it offended her aesthetic. The first time she introduced herself, she walked straight past my outstretched hand and gestured vaguely at the barn. "So, you must be our non-compliant newcomer." I blinked once. "Afternoon. Name is Caleb." "I am Beverly," she said, pausing like I should applaud. "I run the HOA." "Yeah, I saw your emails," I said mildly. "Appreciate the invite. I am not in it." Her smile tightened. "Every homeowner is part of Cedar Crest, Mr. Rourke. And actually, my deed says otherwise." I held up a copy of the recorded plat and that magic sentence, "Not subject to HOA." She read it. Twice. Her smile did not crack, but her eyes did. "Well," she said, voice sugary now, "we will see what the board says about that." The board, for the record, did not overrule a recorded deed. But Beverly decided reality was more of a suggestion. The petty campaign began immediately. A friendly notice on my door, tractor visible from street, violation of vehicle storage guidelines. I wrote "not in HOA" across it and slid it into her mailbox. A mass email, "Some residents are choosing not to participate in our community standards." Attached was a zoomed-in photo of my tractor like it was Bigfoot. A welcome packet shoved under my door, CC and RS, paint swatches, and a strongly worded note about joining the community instead of undermining it. I ignored all of it. I was not rude. I waved to neighbors, helped one guy jump his car, and pulled a stray trash can out of the road. I just refused, politely and consistently, to pretend Beverly had authority she did not. Beverly escalated. She started holding HOA walk-throughs that somehow always involved standing at the edge of my property line, sighing loudly at my barn, then jotting dramatic notes. I gently pointed at the property marker. Everything on this side? Sheriff's business. Not HOA's. She squinted at the marker like it had offended her bloodline. Then came the rumors. I heard he is running some kind of business out of that barn. Beverly says he is storing unregistered equipment. He has got farm animals planned. This is not a farm community. It would have been funny if it stayed at rumors. It did not. One afternoon, I came home to find a bright orange paper taped to my front door. Final notice of enforcement action. Remove tractor within 72 hours or HOA will proceed with abatement at owner's expense. I stared at it for a long moment, then called Beverly. "Hi, this is Caleb Rourke." "Oh," she said. "Hello, Mr. Rourke. Have you decided to comply?" "Just recording for my files that you delivered an enforcement notice to a property not under your jurisdiction. You cannot opt out of the community," she snapped. "Ma'am, the county clerk's office seems to think I did." She huffed. "We cannot have an eyesore tractor when we are trying to maintain property values. If you will not act, the HOA will." "Beverly," I said, voice going cool, "you step foot on my property to abate anything. It stops being an HOA issue and starts being a criminal trespass issue." I hung up. She stared at the phone. Then she decided to stop asking permission. 2 weeks later, I was out of town for a regional law enforcement conference. I left Deputy Harris covering the county and my neighbor Mike keeping an eye on the place. Beverly saw my truck gone for more than 24 hours and, in her mind, that meant one thing. The universe had given her a green light. Security camera footage, later pulled by forensics, showed the whole thing. 10:12 p.m., Beverly's silver SUV pulls up and parks 2 houses down. 10:19 p.m., she walks along the sidewalk in dark yoga pants and a hoodie, carrying a gas can like suburban Mission Impossible. 10:23 p.m., she ducks through the gap in the hedge onto my side yard. 10:24 p.m., she splashes the tractor like she is watering a very stupid plant. 10:25 p.m., a flick of a lighter. Orange blossoms in the dark. 10:26 p.m., flames climb, reflected in her giant glasses. She stands a second too long, watching. Then bolts. At 10:31 p.m., Mike, the neighbor, saw the glow and called 911. By the time the fire crew got there, the barn was fine, the grass was singed, and the tractor was a steel skeleton. The fire captain logged possible arson and handed it off. I got the call in my hotel room at 11:04 p.m. I drove back that night, badge on the dash, anger coiled tight and quiet. By sunrise, my yard was a crime scene. Cones, tape, investigators. The fire marshal walked me through the evidence. "That was not an accident," the marshal said. "We have got poor patterns, clear point of origin, and you have got cameras, right?" "Oh yeah," I said. "I have got cameras." I pulled the footage on my laptop, scrubbed to 10:12 p.m., hit play. When Beverly's face turned toward the camera, clearly visible under the hoodie, the fire marshal let out a low whistle. "Please tell me that is not your HOA lady." "That," I said, jaw clenched, "is my HOA lady." The marshal nodded slowly. "Well, lucky for you, the sheriff in this county really hates arson." I looked up. "Yeah," I said. "He really does." Officially, I knew I could not run the whole case myself. Conflict of interest and all that. Unofficially, there was nothing stopping me from teeing it up perfectly. I requested assistance from the State Bureau of Investigation, citing the fact that the primary suspect was entangled in local politics and I wanted neutrality. They were happy to help. I turned over the camera footage, the HOA notices, the "we will abate it ourselves" email, and a long list of neighbors willing to testify that Beverly had been obsessed with my tractor for months. The SBI agent reviewing the file raised an eyebrow. "This is thorough." "Been collecting emails for a while," I said. "Professional habit." While the state took the lead, I did what I could do. protect the scene, reassure my neighbors, and very calmly not respond to the concerned email Beverly sent the next morning. We are so sorry about the fire, Caleb. Such a tragedy. We warned you about that unsafe tractor. Let us know if the HOA can help. Instead, I forwarded the email to the SBI with the subject line, eyes emoji. 4 days later, the state agents asked me to join them for standard follow-up at Beverly's house. I rode along in the passenger seat, quiet, hat low. We walked up to her front door in a neat little V formation. Agent, sheriff. Ring camera caught the whole thing. Beverly opened the door with a glass of white wine in hand, at 2 p.m., and a rehearsed look of concern on her face. Oh, officers. Is this about that awful fire at the sheriff's place? I have been so worried. We are investigating an arson, the lead agent said. We would like to ask you a few questions. Of course, she said, smile a little tight. Anything to help. I have been saying for months that tractor was a hazard. The agent held up a tablet and tapped the screen. Security footage played. Gas can. Hoodie. Lighter. Fire. Her face. Color drained from her faster than the cheap wine. I do not, that could be anybody, she stammered. The agent paused the video on a crystal-clear shot of her looking right into the camera. Ma'am, he said. It is you. Behind him, I spoke for the first time. Beverly, I said gently, you knew I was in law enforcement. It never occurred to you I might have better cameras than a Ring doorbell? Her eyes snapped to me, horror dawning. You are the sheriff. I thought you were just county sheriff, I said. And this is arson. On occupied property. With structures nearby. That is a felony. She swayed. But I was just trying to enforce standards, she whispered. The agent slipped handcuffs from his belt. Ma'am, he said, you have the right to remain silent. Beverly's arrest hit the subdivision like a tornado made of schadenfreude. The mugshot hit the local paper within 24 hours. HOA president charged with felony arson in tractor fire. The article included phrases like pattern of harassment, obsessive enforcement, and extensive email correspondence referencing getting rid of the tractor one way or another. Turned out, Beverly was not good at not putting crimes in writing. The state built a tidy little case. Motive, months of hostile emails about the tractor and threats of enforcement. Means, footage of her with the gas can and lighter. Opportunity, date and time she was caught on camera matched the fire's start. Consciousness of guilt, her weird we warned you about that unsafe tractor email. Her attorney tried to spin it as concern gone too far. The prosecutor called it what it was, a power trip escalated into criminal behavior. In the end, Beverly took a plea deal. Guilty to a reduced arson charge and felony property damage. Restitution for the tractor at full replacement value. Probation, community service, and a lovely little note on her record that would follow her into every job interview forever. When the judge read the sentence, Beverly stood there in her beige pantsuit, face pale, hands trembling. She opened her mouth like she wanted to argue, to explain, to somehow make it make sense. But nothing came out. Just a small, broken sound as reality finally crashed through her carefully constructed world where rules only applied to other people.